I was reborn as the male supporting role in a novel, and relied on the power of prophecy to fall in love with the female protagonist and marry her. But a supporting role is still a supporting role after all. In the 7th year of my marriage to Ivy, I finally let go. I gave up resistance and let her fall in love with her male protagonist. Because I don't have much time left to bother her. Ivy, wearing a high-end dress and delicate makeup, broke into my bedroom where the curtains were never opened all day. As soon as she came in, she smelled the tobacco smell in the room and pinched her nose in disgust. Liam, what's wrong with you? She has remained beautiful and charming over the years, but unfortunately the person in her eyes is no longer me. Let's get a divorce. I said this with all my strength, then put out my cigarette and slumped down on the sofa, feeling somewhat exhausted. Liam, you asked me to come back just for this, so put that away. It's no use to me anymore. Be honest, you still have the title of my husband. Ivy frowned and spoke stiffly. It was as if I, her husband who had known her for 12 years and had been married to her for 7 years, was some dirty thing. Even though I had made up my mind, her cold eyes still made my heart tremble. This time it's real. I put down the divorce agreement to prove that this time I was not testing, lying, or trying to hurt anyone. In recent years, I'm really tired. 100 million? Liam, you're asking for too much. She looked at the agreement suspiciously and finally laughed out of anger. This money is the profit you and I have created for the company over the years. The rest of the shares belong to you and Noel. I lowered my eyes and smiled bitterly. Since I came to this world, I don't want to give away my only fruitful effort to others. Okay, Liam, you think I don't dare, right? Sign it. When she heard Noel's name, she gnashed her teeth in anger. I'm afraid she thought I was threatening her again. She was afraid that I would ruin her little lover. After getting the agreement, she slammed the door and left, just like every time before. This is the home we have lived in for 7 years, but now, we are no longer here. Maybe from the first time I took action against Noel, or from the beginning of their encounter, I lost early on. It's just that I love you too much, and I'm too unwilling to accept it. I am not from this world. I was born into Liam's body when he was 10 years old. As the son of the Chiao family, who is as famous as the Zhou family in S City, I naturally got to know his neighbor, Ivy. And so it went. I loved her for nearly 20 years. From the beginning, I knew that Ivy was the heroine of this world. Unfortunately, her official partner is not me, a passerby who can't get the love and can't even be considered the third male lead, but Noel. To be honest, I was shaken and worried that all my efforts would go to waste. But when little Ivy held my hand and blinked at me, I really wanted to give it a try. I don't believe in evil. I bet my previous life that I must protect and love her from the moment she is a baby. I've seen similar cases in novels. As long as I make Ivy fall in love with me first, I will be the male protagonist in her world. Indeed, I succeeded. Ivy has shown extraordinary intelligence since she was young, but she is suspicious and stubborn and only listens to me. Even her mother said that I am the only one who can control her, and I am born to be her son-in-law. We have experienced the ignorant love in junior high school, the intimacy that made everyone laugh in high school, and then the ambiguous heartbeat in college. Even after all these years, I still remember it. At her coming-of-age ceremony, the girl dressed me in a dress. The lines are graceful and the shape is exquisite. The little girl forcefully cornered me. I pinched her nose amusingly. She frowned. She doesn't smoke, and one could even say she hates cigarettes. But that time, as if to prove that she had really grown up, she gently blew smoke rings on my face and kissed my lips. Be my boyfriend and stay together forever, Liam. I held her head and almost wanted to rub her into my body. The heroine gave her first kiss to a stranger like me, and then she was choked to the point of being unable to get up. The joy in my heart grew uncontrollably with my love. Now I have parents who love me, close friends, and Ivy who loves me wholeheartedly. After so many years, I no longer regard all this as the content of the book, because I have always believed that emotions cannot be faked. We spent the next few years of our love life in such an intimate and happy way until we graduated from college. She was a girl, yet she had the guts to propose to me. She called everyone we knew and prepared a grand proposal ceremony for me. I was so moved that I cried. My mother's eyes also turned red. She told me to be nice to Ivy. What did I say at that time? Oh, I said, we would never be separated even if we die. And she said she wanted to be good to me for the rest of her life. At that time, no one did not envy our relationship. So, when did it start to change? It seemed that Ivy first met her male protagonist, Noel, when we went to the restaurant for dinner on our 3rd wedding anniversary. At that time, he was working as a waiter in that restaurant. He looked innocent, but his job was very poor. That's how he rashly met Ivy. The story of the poor boy and the rich girl is here again. At that moment, my happiness seemed to be shattered. Noel hasn't appeared for so many years, but he came at this time. From the moment Ivy saw him for the first time, she couldn't stop. I don't know when they added each other's contact information, and Ivy finally curled up her lips when chatting with someone other than me. I panicked. Therefore, for the first time in all these years, she and I had an argument. She just slammed the door and left. Later, it was the same old story. Noel was always bullied, and Ivy was worried about him, so she hired him as a secretary. From then on, I would occasionally find movie tickets in her pockets or smell the scent of cheap perfume. I went to the company to look for him many times, not caring about making it known to everyone. She defended Noel and framed me, which made me even angrier, and she refused to back down. Later, my parents passed away unexpectedly. She said a few words of comfort to comfort them, but was called away by Noel, who said he was sick with stomachache. I almost forgot how many times. When I was alone and couldn't accept it and needed someone to rely on, she abandoned me so many times. We got stuck in this cycle, going round and round, wearing our feelings out for each other. When it comes to love, the worst thing is dragging it out. After 7 years, we still haven't felt itchy yet, and it's over. Obviously, I used to be such a decisive person, but now, no matter how much sand gets into my eyes, I have no tears. The 100 million almost emptied Ivy's company's working capital, so she had no choice but to mortgage all the properties under her name to me. Among them is where Noel lives now. When I saw him, my heart still felt a little sad. I took advantage of my foresight and snatched away the marriage that belonged to him. And in order to get the story back on track, he did not hesitate to interfere with my family. Maybe I felt a little guilty at first, but all of that was worn away by the fact that he called Ivy away time and time again when I needed her. Mr. Chiao, Sister Zhou, and I are not in the relationship you think. Please don't divorce her because of me, okay? He looks innocent, with tears in his eyes. He doesn't look like a man, but rather like a daughter. A plaything of a rich girl, which is very different from the strong and self-made man in the original text. He is stupid and unmotivated. But it was this person who stole my wife and destroyed my life. I was really dissatisfied and analyzed the situation with Ivy. But Ivy praised him for being self-reliant, brave for love, and willing to take responsibility. How ridiculous. The neighbors around heard his voice and started pointing at me. Noel, I can't be nice to the man who took my wife away. What's more, she is such a wimp who only uses her beauty to please men. This apartment is in the prime location of S City. The cheapest monthly rent is $20,000. You got the job as the president's secretary through a backdoor, but you haven't achieved much in the past 4 years, so your monthly salary is around $15,000. Excuse me, since you two are not that kind of relationship, how did you live here for free for 4 years? The more I talked, the paler Noel's face became, and he even started to cry. At that moment, I really admired him, a man who cried at every turn. Moreover, he was the third party and I was the one who was hurt. How could he have the nerve to cry? If he admitted to having an affair with Ivy, I'm afraid I would still look up to him. Mr. Chiao, you can't slander me like this. He seemed to have heard the neighbors' discussions and started crying and sobbing. It seemed as if what I said was not the truth, but rather that he had some unspeakable secret and I had caused him great injustice. Liam, how can you be so vicious? Noel is already having such a hard time, and you still want to bully him. I don't know when, Ivy jumped out from the side and pushed me away. A fishy and sweet taste suddenly surged in my throat. Noel quickly hid behind Ivy, looking so pitiful. I wiped the corners of my mouth in disgust. Having a miserable life? He wears the latest fashions of the season and lives in a duplex that costs $20,000 a month. Is he living a miserable life? Ivy frowned. Liam, I've already given you your money. What else do you want? It's nothing. Please take him away from my house immediately. I took a deep breath, kicked the door hard, and chased the person away. Liam, Noel's life is no better than yours. Stop bullying him. Ivy was still making sarcastic remarks to me, but I didn't want to listen anymore, so I locked them out and cut off everything with a slam of the door. Finally, I couldn't hold on any longer and sat down on the ground, with blood flowing out of my mouth uncontrollably. Ivy is no longer the same person she used to be. She seems to have forgotten everything. She just remembered that I was better looking than Noel. But she forgot that 4 years ago, her company accidentally leaked confidential documents because Noel accidentally leaked them, and her parents became so angry that they fell ill and died. At that time, I almost emptied the Chiao family and worked day and night to help her recover the losses. At that time, my mother advised me that the Chiao family belonged to me and it was my business how I used them. However, Ivy had changed and she no longer seemed like mine. What did I say at that time? I believe in her, and I believe in myself. Oh, how could I have the confidence to compete with the plot and the destined male and female protagonists? After all, not only will love be destroyed, but my lifespan will also, as described in the article, entangle with Ivy and eventually stop forever on my 39th birthday. However, this was not the accident described in the article. Instead, I fell seriously ill in a dramatic way. Now, I only have 3 months left. I looked at Noel's room full of supplies. There was no trace of Ivy's life, but there was a pair of eye-catching handmade couple water cups. I remember, it was our first wedding anniversary, and we were passing by the mall, and I wanted to do it with Ivy. At that time, she had not yet taken over the Zhou family, so she rejected me on the grounds that she was too busy with work. But now she is the president of the company and should be busier, but she still has time for him. Looking at this pair of water cups, I can almost imagine the sweet scene between the two of them. I sighed softly and suppressed my sadness. Looking closely, it seems like there are a lot of things here that I can't get. The dolls caught from the claw machine covered the head of the bed, as well as hand-knitted men's scarves and portraits of the two of them. There is also a refrigerator for desserts. Oh, Ivy really has time for him. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I felt so heartbroken that it was difficult to breathe. Especially these sweets, they are really hurtful. Remember what Ivy said. What she hates most is men who like sweet food. What does it look like when a man eats sweets? It sounded like she hated smoking when she said this. I had quit smoking for many years. But what is this now? This should be considered as a plus point for Noelle's innocence and cuteness. The male protagonist is indeed the most special one to the female protagonist. I picked up these exquisite desserts. Stuffed it into his mouth numbly. Why is it bitter? I tried my best to stuff it in and spit it out, finally destroying all the traces of Ivy's love for him. But it's not enough. The resentment in my heart cannot be dispelled. I picked up my phone. A decoration company? Come here and destroy everything. The people who came to smash the wall were a few young men. The leader was a girl. She is cute and petite, but she has 3 or 5 people under her. Boss, smash them all. Smash them all. After all, this was a fine decoration that Ivy had spent a lot of money on, and she sighed with regret. But he still directed the workers to swing hammers and start smashing things, making sure I saw every hit. During the break, she handed me a cigarette. Mind? I was slightly stunned. I used to smoke, but because Ivy didn't like it, I hadn't smoked for many years. I only picked it up again a while ago. Thank you. She smiled at me and reminded me. This is a bit spicy. I managed to curl the corners of my lips. How can you do this at such a young age? Oh, I can do this job part-time, and I can take care of my mom during the week. She tugged at her washed-out shirt. Which university are you at? My family was too poor, so I didn't study. Well, I really can't chat. Brother, you still have to look forward. She stared at me for 2 seconds and spoke hesitantly. You understand again. Well, in my line of work, usually our partners have mistresses, and then they ask us to destroy everything. She scratched her head somewhat sheepishly. Just move on. There's nothing good about this kind of woman. What kind of woman are you? I shook my head and laughed a little. Was it so obvious that I was being cheated on? As for me, I have a husband now, and I will treat him well for the rest of my life. I heard this and stomped on the cigarette, but my ex-wife said the same thing before she married me. I'm different from her. She was quite unhappy about it, a very stubborn child. It's up to you. You can deal with the things in the house yourself. I added her contact information, transferred money to her, and saw her name, Zoe. Noel has a lot of brand name items that he didn't move away, and he hopes they can help this poor girl. Thanks, bro. I smiled slightly and vomited a mouthful of blood into her face. In the ambulance, I looked at Zoe in confusion, who was anxiously beside me, with her mouth open, shouting something. This expression reminded me of Ivy. Once when I was sick, she was like this too. She said she felt really sad and wished she was the one who got sick. As I was thinking, I cursed fiercely before losing consciousness. Damn, I'm such a bitch. Brother, you. When she opened her eyes, it wasn't Ivy's face, but the worried look on her face was exactly the same as when she was younger. Zoe held the report of severe anemia and looked a little worried. There is no doubt that I have stomach cancer. And it's dead. I kind of hate that a stranger cares about me more than Ivy does. After waking up, I insisted on going to the bathroom by myself, but I ran into Ivy and Noel at the corner. The first time Ivy saw me, she quickly protected Noel behind her. What are you doing here? Why are you so haunted? Good word. I feel that if I die, my ghost will linger around. I'm here for tourism. I replied to her angrily. Liam, Sister Jo, don't be angry with Mr. Chiao. How could he know that I have a stomachache and come here to block us? Noel smiled at me, acting like the man of the house. Damn green tea. Damn it, I really don't know what Ivy likes about him. Ivy seemed to notice my unfriendly look. She frowned and said coldly, Liam, as you wish, we are divorced. I hope you won't appear in front of me again. Although I knew that Ivy had changed and I planned to have nothing to do with her anymore, my heart still ached slightly when I heard her say this. Take your weak and incapable lover and get out of here. I approached them and said viciously, this is who I really am, and hopefully I'm more vicious than she thought. Liam. Noel pushed me hard, and I felt my stomach surging as if something was overflowing. Liam. Zoe came running over from nowhere and pushed him away. Damn it, why are you hitting people? You want to die? Zoe caught Noel and started scolding him. His eyes suddenly turned red, and he explained eagerly. No, I didn't mean to do that. But Ivy surprisingly didn't get angry. Instead, she stared at me blankly. What's wrong with you? I wiped the blood from my lips fiercely. Noel, without you, is seriously ill. You? Ivy bit her back teeth hard, her face flushed with anger. Mr. Chiao, if you have oral bleeding, you should take medicine as soon as possible. Don't try to deceive Sister Jo like this. She's already been deceived badly by you. Noel interrupted Ivy before she finished speaking. In an instant, her expression became tense again. I lied to her. How come I didn't know? My throat was covered with blood, and I felt extremely uncomfortable. Zoe quickly came over and helped me up. No matter what, we are no longer related now. Take your new love with you and don't show up in front of me again. Ivy's voice was cold and eerie. Bah, you look down on people. Zoe supported me and cursed unconvincedly. The doors to the wards were reversed on both sides of me. I breathed in the strong smell of disinfectant and suddenly stopped. Zoe, do you earn money as a caregiver? Suddenly, I wanted to try again. In the original text, the original owner died in an accident. But in this era, gastric cancer can still be saved. Although the chances of improvement are slim with the power of the plot, I have a small goal now, so I might as well give it a try. I still underestimated the power of the plot. The doctor said that the cancer cells in my stomach had spread and that surgery was not possible. I could only receive conservative treatment or give up treatment. I wanted to give up immediately. Let's try again. Zoe whispered. Okay, look at how stubborn she is, just like me. The doctor recommended radiotherapy, which is less painful than chemotherapy and can relieve my stomach bleeding symptoms. But it still feels uncomfortable. My hair started to fall out in clumps, and Zoe spent more and more time with me. The weather was getting colder. She had gotten to know me better over the past few days and had figured out my personality, so she bought me a plush hat. It keeps me warm and covers my bald head. After all, I have been handsome since I was a child, and I care a lot about my face and image. Don't you have to take care of your mother? I saw that she always came closer to me, so I couldn't help but ask her a question. Now I can no longer stand up and can only travel in a wheelchair. There's enough time. Just take good care of yourself and don't think about anything else. I sat in a wheelchair and she pushed me around the hospital every day, taking me out to sunbathe in different ways. Just because the doctor said that sunbathing might help my condition. I'll triple your salary. Seeing how attentive she was, I felt a little sad. Anyway, money is all I have now, so I might as well leave it to someone with a conscience. No, I don't want any more. Zoe grinned at me in a slutty way. She was the kind of girl that Ivy looked down upon the most, but she looked more reliable than Ivy. Liam, why are you still here? Speak of Chow Chow, and he will appear. I winked at Zoe and left quickly. Firstly, I was extremely disappointed with Ivy and didn't want to see her again. Secondly, I am a rather proud person and didn't want anyone to see me looking so haggard. But Ivy chased after him and asked, Are you sick? Is this true? It's been a month since I last saw her. She's still as charming as ever, but what she says is still so annoying. Your lover has a stomachache again? Please don't bother me. I closed my eyes and tried to drive her away quickly. Liam, could you please stop saying things like this all the time? Ivy gritted her teeth. Sister Jo, why are you here? Noelle trotted over and interrupted her rant. What is this? Mr. Chiao, long time no see, why do you look like this? He looked me up and down with his big, watery eyes, and there was a hint of superiority in his eyes, as if a rabbit had finally shown its claws. I sneered in my heart. Zoe hurriedly pushed the two people aside. Make way. If you two want to see the psychiatric department, you have to turn right. There is no attending doctor here. There's no doctor. Maybe there's a patient? Mr. Chiao, could you please stop? Noelle walked slowly to my side, quickly pulled off my hat, and then let out a cry of surprise. I felt a chill on my head, and my ugly bald spot suddenly fell into 3 pairs of eyes. The weather was very cold, and people walking on the road stepped on discarded drink bottles. Crunch. At that moment, my sense of shame completely collapsed. He showed my scars nakedly and acted horrified, just like he did when he intervened in my marriage. Is the plot so disgusting? I hated in my heart. Get out. Everyone get out. Zoe reacted first, snatched the hat back, and put it back on my head steadily. Noelle apologized to me with an apologetic look on his face, but to my ears, it all sounded deliberate. Ivy stared at me for a long while before she said dryly, Don't mind it. He didn't mean it. At that moment, all words seemed pale. I looked at her face, and all the memories of those years flashed by like a passing show. I suddenly let it go. Ivy is really no longer the Ivy I love. There were only Zoe and I in the ward. There were only a few autumn leaves outside, and the branches were hanging down, just like my head, which was very bald. I'm afraid my death anniversary will be on a romantic snowy day. Liam, stop loving her. She doesn't deserve it. Zoe stood by my bed for a long time before she managed to say this. I know. Now, I have calmed down completely and don't want to shed another tear for Ivy before I die. Tell me about you. I want to hear about something other than her. I skillfully took out a cigarette, which was gently confiscated by Zoe. It's my business. My family is just me and my mom now. She's not in a good mental state. Sometimes she's normal, and sometimes she's not. She took out an apple and said slowly, When I was a child, that man was an alcoholic and a gambler. He would beat me and my mother whenever he was unhappy. Unfortunately, I was too weak at the time and couldn't do anything well. He beat my mother to the point of insanity, and then he ran away with his mistress, leaving a lot of debt. My family was so poor that we couldn't even make ends meet. I had to find ways to make money since I was a child, so I never had the chance to go to school. In fact, I hated him, but I felt even more sorry for my mom. So I really thought that if I had been able to protect her once, maybe she could have a normal life now. I'm sorry for rambling so much. She handed me the apple and smiled sheepishly. I took a bite of the apple. It had a crisp texture, sweet yet astringent. Everyone has his or her own direction in life. Why have I been arguing with Ivy for the past 20 years? If I could make the choice again, I would rather reject her confession at that time and be a passerby in the plot again. Maybe if I don't bother her, I can still live a peaceful life. After a few days of peace and quiet, Ivy came to visit again. Didn't you bring any green tea today? Zoe started to make sarcastic remarks when she saw her. Ivy frowned and looked like she didn't want to argue with the child, so she walked around her and walked towards me. Are you really sick? Yeah, stomach cancer, not long. I looked at this face that I once was so familiar with and no longer felt awkward. I think I have let it go completely, so I can say goodbye to her calmly. Having said that, I probably still won't be able to get over her betrayal. Are you serious? Or have you bribed the hospital? The suspicion in her eyes stung me. I really don't understand. I have been with her for so many years. What on earth deceived her and caused her to behave like this? It turns out that in the original text, she is suspicious by nature, and this is how it is used. Go away. I don't want to see you anymore. I lowered my eyes, trying to calm the anger that was rising again. Ivy wanted to say something else, but was pulled out by Zoe. I vomited a large mouthful of blood again. I really owed her. Seeing her made my condition worse. But Ivy seems to just enjoy seeing me suffer. The next day, she brought over a bouquet of white roses. This is my favorite flower, but it's also Noelle's favorite. This bunch of peanuts is full of vitality, unlike me, which is lingering on. Ivy came here to annoy me. I asked Zoe to water the flower with boiling water and then throw it outside. It quickly withered, just like Ivy's feelings for me. Like my current situation. For several days, I didn't let Zoe let her in. Maybe she also sensed that my life was about to end, and now she became extremely anxious, as if she had returned to her former self. What? Could it be that death is the fashion item that is better than the male protagonist? Why is Ivy so mean? She eventually bribed the doctor and broke in when Zoe was away. Liam, how long are you going to make such a fuss? As soon as I entered the door, I was still accused. What was it about her that I saw in her in the first place? Please go away. I have some difficulty speaking now. I lost more than 10 pounds, and all the hair under my hat has fallen out. I don't need to look in the mirror to know that I am basically unpresentable. Maybe like a little old man. I don't know. I haven't looked in the mirror in a long time. I came to see you without any grudges. Can't you just lower your proud head? She covered her head and yelled at me in a state of collapse. I'm really confused by what you said. What did I do to make you hate me so much? I looked at her, with some annoyance in my eyes. I even hoped that death would come sooner, because I didn't want to see her going crazy and making accusations anymore. It was obviously she who was the one who betrayed and was arrogant. I worked hard for almost 20 years, but in the end, I almost lost my life. How have I wronged her? What on earth did I do? You. She clenched her teeth, and the emotions in her eyes changed in disbelief, finally showing some fear. She is now the president of the group, and I believe she can find out anything. But she had never done this before. Sure enough, within 2 days, she came to me again with a bunch of gifts while Zoe was away. There are handmade cups that I want to make, handmade scarves with rough stitches, and even a freshly made dessert cake. You see, she already knows what I like. Of course I was wrong. I believed Noelle's words. He was the one who leaked the company's secrets, not you. I always thought that this was a conspiracy by your family to annex my family, which caused the death of my parents. I was almost laughing at her. How did I just find out? Ivy is so disgusting. Ivy, was it me who asked you to pursue me? She was stunned. No. She was like the deceived protagonist in a novel, trying to clear up the misunderstanding and looking forward to a happy ending. Haha, I'm so stupid. Go away now. I don't want to see you again. I vomited another large mouthful of blood. Now, all my efforts for her, everything has become a joke. I still say the same thing. If she openly admits her affair with Noelle, I will still look up to her. Noelle and I are fine. We didn't do anything, Ivy was still trying desperately to explain to me, but was eventually kicked out by Zoe who had returned. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be away at this time. She came forward to wipe the blood off for me, her eyes full of heartache. Zoe, I don't have much time left. Find a caregiver for Andy. Don't let Ivy bother me in the last few days. I handed her a card with no PIN number on it, but with all my savings in it. Rather than leaving these things to people who disgust me, I'd rather give them to Zoe, who I like. She took the card solemnly and quickly processed all my requests for me. But during this period, another uninvited guest came to my ward. Noelle's hair was messy and his eyes were red. Liam, you win. I am really an old man crawling into an old lady's bed. Get lost, I don't want to see you either. Do you think I'm willing to come? Sister Jo has already fired me for you. Everything I have has been taken away, and I still have to face a huge compensation. So what? I didn't even bother looking at him anymore. It's just the final fate of a stray dog. If he wasn't the male protagonist, given his behavior, he wouldn't even be able to enjoy such a good life. Can you forgive Sister Jo? I was the one who framed you and made her think that you would suffer if you were with me. Mr. Chiao, my family background is no better than yours. Please show some mercy. Forgive her, and I won't be asked to pay compensation. He suddenly fell to his knees, big tears rolling down his cheeks. Poor family background. Noel, even if your family is poor, how do you think those children whose families are in debt feel? Whatever tricks you want to use are your business. I'm divorced from her, so don't bother me anymore. I almost used up my last bit of strength. They are worthy of being the male and female protagonists. They really think that the whole world revolves around them. Whether they have a grudge with others or they regret it, they do whatever they want without considering other people's feelings at all. I realized it later and got involved with this group of people with no moral values. What bad luck. Mr. Joe, please. Noel kowtowed continuously and was finally asked to leave the ward by Zoe, who had rushed back. I really feel so unwilling. What have I been talking to them about all these years? Anyway, in the end, it's all in vain. It's snowing outside the window. Zoe, buy me a cake. Today is my 39th birthday. I sat in the ward, feeling much more energetic than usual. Zoe was very happy, but she didn't know that I was just experiencing a last burst of energy. She put on her coat and ran out. I watched her footsteps on the snow from upstairs. In my last moments, I don't want to leave pain to anyone. I came silently, and I should go silently. But unfortunately, there are always people who are against me. Happy birthday, Ranran. Ivy looked haggard, as if she had suffered a serious illness. Why not buy a cake? She should know that I like sweet things. I looked at her face. I had been entangled with her for so many years, and she seemed to have aged and become much uglier. She is no longer the girl who believed in me wholeheartedly and had a bright smile. After all, beautiful things can only live in memory. Ivy said quickly when she saw me making the request. But this time my plan didn't succeed. I vomited a large mouthful of blood in pain, staining my entire front red. Of course, she held my hand, rang the bell furiously, and apologized profusely. I'm sorry, Ranran. Noel and I are not real. I've already sued him in court. He will be poor for the rest of his life. I'm sorry. So what is true? All I know is that every night I was left behind because of him was real to me. Because of him, my sleepless nights and heartaches are real. But what hurts me the most is Ivy. She is suspicious by nature, but she doesn't even want to ask me, the person next to her. My efforts to save the situation turned into an excuse for my guilt. I held her hand, and in her surprised eyes, I forcefully pulled out everything that was tightly held in my hand. Ivy, let me just be your sister, Joe. I give up on you, so please let me go too. She was overwhelmed with pain, and death took my life. People say that after death, the last thing to disappear is hearing. I feel a little sorry for Zoe. When she came back, the cake fell all over the floor, and she started wrestling with Ivy. She probably thought that Ivy pissed me off to death. I think that's right. Perhaps every minute or second of my life lost is related to her. My consciousness was in a state of confusion, and my life experiences were flashing before my eyes. I watched in boredom and closed my eyes. Cut. A glowing child emerged from the memory. Liam, you lose. She pouted at me. When she mentioned it, I remembered it. The night I decided to give it a try, this kid showed up and said she wanted to make a bet with me. Betting on whether Ivy and I can have a happy ending. I placed the bet with full confidence, and then my memory of it was erased. Come and collect your reward. Although I no longer have a sick body, I still feel empty and uncomfortable. Whether she wants to take my soul or something else, it's up to her. What reward? I don't accept rewards. I want you to be punished. She smiled at me mischievously, and I didn't understand what she meant. In a flash, she pushed me into the vortex of memory and shouted, "Come on, Liam." Then, he muttered again. This time, you must remember to save me. When I opened my eyes, I saw a smoke ring floating in front of me. Ivy cornered me, her eyes red. Let's be together forever, no matter what. We won't be apart, okay? I was slightly stunned, and then I understood in my heart. Not good. She opened her eyes wide, as if she couldn't believe it. Why? Because I don't like you anymore. I pushed her away and ran out the door. I seemed to remember everything, and I ran faster and faster until I arrived at a shabby little rental house. From inside there could be heard the men cursing and the women and children crying. Stop it, I'm calling the police. I shouted loudly and looked at the girl standing in front of the woman. At that moment, my heart seemed to overflow. The police arrived soon, and I finally made up for Zoe's regret. I will no longer follow the old path in this life. Maybe we will become good friends, and she will be able to find another path. Who can predict the future this time?